podcast. I'm joined again with Miles Hoskins, and we're going to talk some more Montgomery County history. You keep mentioning this, and it's so true. During that time, 1900s, that's why I feel like that's one of the times Kentucky got its name for being a rough place, because people would just take their justice in their hand, and I mean there's stories all over the state about people getting shot because they were offended by whatever, or
getting back to Judge Reed.
Yeah. I mean, even Goebel, who ended up getting assassinated. He had killed somebody in the streets of in Newport because some old squabble, and he thought they were shooting at him, and he drew and shot first. And didn't serve a day in jail.
I don't know. It was just a different time.
It was.
Well, it's not so much different. We're eat up with guns now. There's just still a problem.
So early 1900s. Is there any businesses or anything like that got started there during that time that's still operating today? Churches, even. There's plenty of those that are around the
right
by this time.
Got 1, 2. Well, just about every church in town was pre-1900.
Wow.
The Presbyterian church was actually built before the Civil War.
Okay. That's that may be the oldest one, you think, or?
Keys Church was built in 1882. So.
And which I'll bring that. The church I went to in Rockcastle County was about 1880s. Something like that, which it changed denominations and stuff, but still the body of people there were pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But I find those always interesting that have lasted for that long. The Presbyterian Church in Stanford was founded by Benjamin Logan, so I mean it's older than the. Oh yeah. I'm
Logan.
Oh, cool.
That's one of them.
Yeah. That's real cool. Yeah, that's I mean, when I'm thinking of he's definitely my favorite. Early frontiersman. Which I mean,
you're there.
Oh, I'm right there. But
Yeah.
that's cool. But yeah, he founded the first Presbyterian church there in Stanford. So I mean, it's older than the state.
Well, in this Presbyterian church during the war, they had a breakup.
Oh.
It was the southern and the northern church. So and that. It took them 20 years after the war to reconcile that and get over all that.
Yeah.
About 20 years, about 1880 something, is when they finally started worshiping together and shooting at one another, I guess.
Old wounds last long.
Yeah, they sure do, especially Kentucky.
Yeah. What about businesses?
Well, Ruth Hunt Candies, which is celebrating about 100, so it's about 1920. I don't think there are any businesses that are still active from the 1900s or late 1800s.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But we had the glove factory was here at one time. That was pretty early. They made lunch boxes at first.
Oh, wow.
Cardboard lunch boxes. And the Enoch family started that business. And,
bottling company?
Mouse Serving Bottle Works.
Did y'all have hot springs or anything like that in the area?
No.
Okay. No. All in Bath County, I guess, right?
Yeah. And and then we had Old McBrayer Distillery. Was here about that time. And that was 1900, of course. And then they went out of business, but now they're back in business.
Oh, cool.
Over in Lawrenceburg, I think.
Okay.
They're bottling again.
Yeah.
It's still the McBrayer family too.
Oh, okay, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they make a W.H. McBrayer, which is, they say real good. I'm not a drinker.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So, $100 a bottle, it better be good.
Oh man, wow. Oh, yeah. Better not burn on the way down.
Yeah, right. Ought to give you change, right?
Any others you think of right off? And industry just built. I mean, even today, farming's still pretty relevant.
Pretty relevant.
Yeah.
But mostly it's cattle and less and less tobacco.
Yeah.
Of course, tobacco warehouses were always big.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there were about as many of them as there were stockyards.
Yeah. What this is another topic we've talked about many times on the podcast. Night riders, any like night rider raids or anything like that during the early 1910s, 15s?
Not really, that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
That I know of.
Yeah, which I mean that was more in Western Kentucky too.
Well, that went on in the Civil War a lot.
yeah.
There were a lot of just feuds.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody talks about the
They took care of them.
Hatfields and McCoys being a big Kentucky feud, but there's about a feud in about every county.
Yeah.
So let's say public schools, like many places, loaded with a bunch of small ones and slowly consolidating.
We've got a map over here. There's 33 little country
schools.
Schools.
Yeah, one house schools or one room.
So that was probably at the height of the education move.
Yeah.
33 schools, and now we're down. Of course, everything's consolidated in Montgomery County.
But how many elementary schools in the county?
Oh, let's see. There's Mapleton, Camargo, Mount Sterling Elementary. 4.
Okay. I'm trying to think. It's not necessarily always the best judge, but I think of like Lincoln County has 5, which they need to close one of them. Well, they need to close 2 and combine one of them. Rockcastle has 3. So Garrett County only has 3. Then you get to like Madison County, there's like 20 or about 10, and then Fayette's got loads. But just trying to judge comparison, population size and all that kind of stuff. So
earlier I was talking about Luther Calvin Jeffries, the doctor that was a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
He started a school out there too in the 1870s.
Yeah.
And that's usually the way the schools got started. A private individual would put up the money or
build the house or build the room
or something for him, a schoolroom, and it failed the first time. He didn't have maybe 3 or 4 students, and just it wouldn't pay off. Yeah, and couldn't keep a teacher, and so about 10 years later he started up again, and it took off that time. But that's kind of the way education went, just
popping up different places
until the county actually got
a hold of it.
It started.
Yeah, which I think Kentucky as a whole, education was kind of pushed off quite a bit until about the I want to say like 1840s, when I think it was Charles Moorhead he was the governor, but then it kind of started getting the ball was rolling good, and then the Civil War happened, and that's kind of pushed the ball back. And then it was
in a lot of ways.
But then typical of all the counties in Kentucky, or in just the time, you would have, you say a circuit court person, but you had circuit teachers basically going around, trying to staying at a spot and even living in the homes of the students, Right.
Well, in the early days too, you could get a teacher's degree in 60 days.
Well, there's
if you could read and write, you could teach students.
Well, there's even those times where the teachers were like 16, 17 years old. That was their teachers, and you're thinking, wow. But that's good. They're working and getting paid. I guess. That age.
Somebody had to educate those kids.
As far as Montgomery County in whole, I say this: most famous people. Who would you say, or as far as that, besides?
That would have to be Aunt Jemima.
Besides her,
she's our most famous. We don't have a whole lot of famous people come from Mount Sterling. We've had a lot of famous people come through Mount Sterling.
Okay. Well, we can talk about those people, I guess, at least.
Well, I think I think we counted 6 presidents have been here.
Oh wow, that's
from Andrew Jackson to I guess Bill Clinton was the last one, and Harry Truman, and FDR was here, but he wasn't. He was running for 1920. They came through.
Yeah,
when he was running with Cox.
Yeah, on the train.
Yeah, they came.
Well,
and then Eleanor, his wife, was here in 33, I think, to lay the cornerstone at Camargo.
Okay, yeah. That's pretty cool.
I tell you what, all these dates,
Yeah.
yeah.
Around.
I think 33.
Yeah.
It was during the Depression.
Gotcha. That covers it. That's pretty neat.
And she had her car brought in on the train,
Oh, cool.
and they unloaded her car, and then she
Drove around.
drove around, and then she went on up in the mountains and did 2 or 3 more schools up there. WPA was
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
was doing the schools. Well, we were in here one Saturday, and it was a slow day, and not too many people had been in, and this young black couple comes in, and they're on their way to a family reunion in New Orleans,
Oh, yeah. Wow.
and they made the sidebar trip to come over to Mount Sterling and he walks through the door and he says, "My name is Alexander Schnall." He said, "I was just wondering," he said, "my great-great-great-grandfather was a slave, we think, here in Mount Sterling. His name was Orrin.
Yeah.
And do y'all have any Schnalls?"
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't hit shake a dead cat and not hit a Schnall, or throw a dart at the board and not hit some of their property in Montgomery County. They owned about half the county down south towards Camargo. And I said, "Well, yeah, we do. And as a matter of fact, I have Anderson Schnall's slave papers." And I got a book back there that's got all his papers in it. And we started looking through those, and one from 1830
Yeah.
was they were buying a young slave boy named Orrin,
Oh.
age 11. So here's,
Wow.
and that's hard to do for African Americans. You know, if you can get back past the Civil War, you really hit the jackpot.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, that really did him in. Well, so we went on looking through most of them, the rest of the papers, and we come across one January 1st, 1866. Says, "I, Anderson Schnall, being duly sworn to the United States of America," because he was a Southern sympathizer, so it's kind of like swallowing the air on the
Yeah.
and is do enter into this sharecropping agreement with Orrin. Mr. Schnall is to pay the doctor bills for Orrin and his wife. Orrin is to pay the doctor bills for his 2 sons. So, and we're going to pay him $450 a year, quarterly, and then it lists their names. Orrin, his wife Minerva, another Orrin, his son, and another son, Davy.
Wow.
So not only did he have one, but he had 2 great-grandfathers that were named Orrin.
Yeah.
And well, they left here just, walking on cloud 9.
Yeah.
And I get goosebumps to this day. I took them out to the old plantation where they would have been
Wow.
slaves, and this big rug hanging on the wall here came from that house.
Wow.
New York University, I think, is where he was teaching. That's probably the biggest oh boy moment that I've ever had.
Yeah.
My hat came off and it twirled around about 3 times.
Well, you think about, just like family trees, people always interested in their family trees. Well, not everybody, but, you get people that are. And, you find those, that's a big find. That's huge.
That was huge for him, yeah. It was for me, too. I couldn't believe, we just, at 2 o'clock, we closed the museum, and I just took him all around the county, showing him anything that was possible to.
Wow.
But
That's
they left happy campers.
I would say so, yeah. Yeah, well, just those records. And that's, again, we talk about the courthouse burning and stuff. Like, a lot of courthouses burned during the Civil War, and that burned a lot of information.
We have about 800 family files back here.
Yeah.
For genealogy purposes. That's why we get so many visitors. Montgomery County was so early.
Yeah, that's big.
That we get just people from all over the United States calling and coming out. Had a lady from California, just Minnesota. It's been unreal this month we've had in.
Yeah, well, you mentioned, that it was one of the early ones, 22nd county formed, which doesn't sound too early, but when you got 120, that's pretty early.
Yeah.
That's It's been a little longer than most. They got, I don't know why they named so many counties or made so many, but
See, some
there's a
of the
lot of
counties were actually carved out, of course, before we got to Kentucky.
well, yeah, it's true. Yeah.
The Essel's defeat was actually in Augusta County, Virginia
Yeah.
at the time, I think.
It might have been. Let's see. Jefferson, Fayette, and Lincoln were first three, and then.
But this is before they even leaving, though.
Okay.
I think.
Well, now those three counties were formed in 1780.
Yeah.
Jefferson, Virginia formed Jefferson, Lincoln, and Fayette counties
In 80?
1780. Yeah.
Okay, so they would have been in 82.
So it would have been, Fayette
82.
County probably. It would have been Fayette County
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was the counties that Montgomery was formed out of?
Clark
Clark
and Bourbon.
and Bourbon, yeah. And then it's surrounded.
Fayette, Bourbon, Clark, Montgomery. Then they took 18 more counties out of Montgomery. we used to go all the way to Pikeville.
Yeah. Let's see, but now it's the Clark, Bourbon, Bath, Menifee, and Powell counties surround the county. Yeah. Now, anything else you can think of very notable? I mean, history-wise, obviously a lot of these stuff we've talked about, we could go into way more depth, but as just an overview, anything else you can think of?
Well, there's the Bourbon Furnace.
Oh, okay.
It's in Bath County now, but it was in Montgomery. It was in Bourbon.
Yeah.
It's been in 4 counties and never moved. But it was the first ironworks this side of
Wow.
the mountains. Was the Bourbon Furnace, and then we have a plaque over there that goes in the back of the fireplace, dated 1794.
Now, what these iron furnaces? What all did they do?
They made pig iron, and they also made cannonballs for the War of 1812. And not too long after that, they shut down, and then they try to make another go of it in the late 20s, 1820s, but it just market wasn't there for the stuff.
Pretty much they're just making a fire hot enough to tend to the metal, right? I mean, is that it?
Yeah, it was.
Big old structures.
Yeah, it's quite a crucible.
And are there any still standing around, or?
Yeah, it's still there.
Okay, well,
It still stands.
Yeah.
And Fitchburg Furnace up in the gorge is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
I see it's got, does that say Breckenridge and Green Up? What did they have to do with it?
That was a governor.
The governor at the time. Yeah. Okay.
Well, they had a company that
Operated it.
that operated it,
Okay.
and they were part of the officers. George Nicholas, John Breckenridge, and John Cockney Owens, which Owensville was named after. And
Yeah. So, I mean, during Prohibition, I mean, I assume moonshining
a
was
lot of
taken on
moonshining during Prohibition.
everywhere, I guess.
Yeah. And the county was dry for years and years and years and years.
Is there anything else in the museum, I guess, you could encourage people that you find just very unique that we've not talked about yet? I mean, it's a nice map of.
Yeah, that's a 1818 map. You can see Montgomery County. Bath County had already been carved out in 1811.
Yeah.
And Montgomery's here. And then they took out, in 1852, they took out Powell County out of it. And then Menifee County came out of us.
Is that a original print?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Now here's Montgomery.
Well, you can. I like the map too. Like you can see it down here. That's the knobby area is getting there.
Yeah, so you can see the knobs in here. And like I said, right here's my farm's right in there.
Yeah. Jeez,
Pilot Knob, where Daniel Boone supposedly.
Oh, we got Daniel Boone story. What county does it?
It's
Well,
big
Pilot
town.
Knob's not really in Montgomery, but it's right on the line.
No, it's right there on the line.
It misses it by about 200 yards. But that's where Daniel Boone first came up and saw them.
Okay. Yeah.
Kentucky River.
Mm-hmm.
You can go up there and you can just see it snaking,
Wow.
with Palisades.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, he's
That'd
seen
be
a
a
lot
good
of-
view, yeah.
That's how he said, well, there's a big stream of water down there. I guess we'll go down and see. That's where he found Boonesboro,
Yeah.
I guess. But we used to go up there all the time, hike up there.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the prettiest views around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, let's see, World War I, World War II,
Mm-hmm.
not a whole lot
Yeah.
went on. I've got some neat displays over here, but
Yeah. No big events.
no big events.
Yeah. Are these guns here? Are they? I mean, are those their guns or they're just old ones?
No, they're old.
Okay.
Yeah, they're original. I don't have a story to them.
Okay. So but they're not Enoch Smiths or William Clark's. They're
No,
okay.
no. Now this is William Cobb's stuff right here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool to have that.
Cobb was a big surveyor.
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that money belt, he wore down to New Orleans when he made the trip down there.
A money belt. That's a
Mm-hmm.
different concept.
Got some silverware
Yeah.
made out of bone,
Mm-hmm.
and his powder horn.
So Miles, what as far as the museum here, what's the hours people can come visit, that sort of stuff?
We're open Tuesday through Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
10 to 2.
Okay.
And
You got there's plenty of neat stuff to look at. I'm gonna take some pictures and stuff and all that.
this is the old fire station.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's crazy to see a fire truck being pulled by a horse,
Isn't it
right?
wild? They kept the equipment in here, and
Mhm.
they had a stable out back.
See by the bogey over here
And
is
then there's the hole where they came down.
Oh,
the
wow.
pole.
Yeah. And like you said too, that plenty of genealogy records people could, if they're interested in that.
Genealogies are a big forte. It really
mhm.
is. It's,
So if you have a connection to Montgomery County, come down here and see what you can find. Might lead you to the next spot, or get you
will.
past your brick wall or whatever's holding you up.
yeah. 'Cause that's usually when they come here, they're in
Stuck.
California. They're stuck. You know?
Yeah. Which that's the one thing I enjoy about Kentucky, and a lot of people don't realize. A lot of those people, if you have family that's out west, they probably came through Kentucky or have an ancestor that was in Kentucky at some time.
We're always a jumping off point for everything.
Anything else before we log off here or sign off?
Mount Sterling High School had state champions in 1969.
Well, that's pretty good. Basketball? Okay.
Football.
Oh, football. Cool.
They were state champions in 1969, wasn't it?
Yeah. 1969?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I went to county school, so
No.
yeah.
You didn't get to celebrate.
I didn't get to celebrate, but
Are they the rivals too, I assume?
they were rivals.
Uh-huh.
And they'll never let us live it down. You know. Montgomery County never had a state championship.
Now, is Mount Sterling High School still open, or is it consolidated?
Consolidated.
Okay,
Yeah, consolidated.
gotcha. Yeah, those rivalries though, they're always
Yeah.
go for good sports.
Camargo had a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when they had a high school there, and they had a Montgomery County, Camargo,
Mm-hmm.
Du Bois, which was
Okay.
the African American school,
Yeah,
and city school.
yeah,
So we had like 4 high schools.
yeah.
So we had our own district.
yeah. Well, that's the
By
way.
the time you played everybody in the county twice, your season's
Season's
about over.
Yeah. Well, like I said, of course, we can always go for round 2 if there's anything else that comes up. But again, I encourage people to come check out the museum, check out Montgomery County and Mount Sterling as well. Thank you for having us, and
Thank you for coming.
if you're listening out there, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.